Yes, hello. Leanghy-san, can you test sharing your screen due to I am not the host? Can you share your screen? Okay, great. Yes, thank you.
So, everyone's here. Hello.
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 Everyone is here. Can I start my presentation today?
Yes, I think yes.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Today I have one topic. The topic today is about the concept of physical server and virtual server. Okay. So, in the first, I would like to detail about what is the physical server. The physical server refers to a hardware server with the mainboard, CPU, memory, and input-output controller. It's the always known as a bare metal server. And normally, a physical server is used to run as a single instance of OS. It can be run on Windows Server or Linux, and mostly we use it for run only for single application. But anyway, we still can run with many applications. It depends on us, depend on situation. The physical server is designed for a single user. The resource and component of the physical server are not shared between multiple users. This physical server including memory, processor, networking, hard drive, and operating system is running program or application. So if we look at the picture, we will see the first one at the bottom is the physical hardware, and the second one is the operating system, and the top one is the application. It can be a web server, MySQL, or something. And let me move to the next is what is the virtual server? A virtual server or VM is a compute resource that use software instead of physical server to deploy one or more virtual machine on a physical server. So normally we always use a hypervisor software to manage the resource and deploy virtual hardware to the VM. It can be one or more VM in the virtual machine. Each virtual machine runs its own operating system and function is separate from the other VM. Even they are running on the same host, but actually it's different. It's already separate. Then we can see, if we look at the picture, we can see the physical server or physical hardware, and then we can see the virtualization layer. We can call the hypervisor. After that, the VM, including the OS and application at the top. So let's look at the picture about the traditional server and virtual server architecture. We can see the difference on physical hardware. After that, the next is the hypervisor layer, or in physical server, we have the operating system directly. And the top is application, but in the VM, and the top is a virtualized layer, and after that, OS and application. So yes, that is a difference between the physical server and VM. So the next step, let me move to the comparing physical server and the virtual machine. Actually, let's talk about the performance. Actually, about the performance, physical servers are more powerful than VM due to the fact of the VM are prone to perform an issue as a result of an overflow of virtual server in a physical server machine. Those are a physical server and virtual server who having the same hardware and the software resource and capability, but actually it cannot perform at the same level of performance. If your organization or your company run operation that require the use of computing resource to the fullest extent, and I think the physical server is the best choice. And about the management, as for the management factor, VM are much easier to maintain than physical server. In case of server failure, it takes much time to fix the physical server to the original state. But for the VM, the recovery process can be initiated just a few steps or a few clicks. With the help of the backup solution, you can have some kind of backup solution like open source or some other backup solution. There are many backup solutions for the VM. It's not mean that the physical server cannot have the backup solution, but I just want to let you know that the VM is much easier and take less time than the physical server. And however, managing the physical server or the virtual server is require a high level on special skill. Make sure that the member of your IT team having enough skill to control yourself. And let me talk about the capacity management. Because the physical server do not use their hardware and software capacity to the maximum level, so there's a lot of computing resources are left unused, which isn't cost effective. And actually, on the other hand, hypervisor software can take care of multiple virtual server and underutilized resource by distributing them among other virtual machines which need it the most. This is the way optimum capacity management is achieved. And about the scalability in physical server are more difficult to scale because we might need to buy the additional hardware component, which can be expensive or go through a long process of installation and configuration. And by the way, at the same time, virtual machine environment provide the option of on-demand on scalability. A single virtual server can host multi-VM at the same time, which can be added or removed with the click of a mouse And yeah, your virtual environment can be scaled up or down. It depends on the growth of your business needs. And about the security management is more easily configuration on the visual server environment than a physical server, because the new technology at the hypervisor layer offer the centralized security and management. And if we talk about security, we may, in the physical server, we may need to configure some IP table rule, something like this. But in security management of the hypervisor, we can secure. We have the central security management. Anyway, we still have the IP table rule in the VM. One more step. And about the cost, as we know that building the maintaining a physical server environment can be quite expensive. This is due to the constant of hardware and software upgrade, frequent system failure, and breakdown of computer component and equipment, which are difficult or even impossible to repair. And by the way, at the same time, virtualization is considered a professionalism for the enterprise which contain a large amount of server. A virtual server environment allows you to eventually distribute computing resource among running VM. Those ensure capacity optimization for a minimal price. However, we should know about the software like VM software license. It can be quite expensive as well. It depends on the size of the virtual environment. By the way, we can, if we don't want to buy license, we can use some other open source like Proxmox, something like this. And that's all. Thank you for your time. And this presentation today, we just say about the different thing between the physical server and VM, and when we should use the VM and when we should use the physical server. That's all from me. Do you have any question?
Then can you move to a security part?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. So this says virtual server, virtual machine can have higher security level than physical server. Maybe
Actually, I'm not mean that higher security than physical server, but as you know, in ESXi, we have a firewall rule, and we can manage the firewall rule from ESXi, something like this. So it's something like when we start using VM, we already have security on the hypervisor, and then we can have the more security in the VM also.
I see.
But in the physical server, we don't have. What we have to do is build security by ourselves by IP table rule or something.
Okay. So it means virtual machine have multiple layer, multiple firewall layer in the ESXi and the virtual machine itself.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Yes, if I can add one more comment here, because hypervisor itself also can have security vulnerability yeah, as you may find sometimes,
Yeah.
yeah, vCenter or ESXi need the security update. So yeah, most of the time, virtual machine can be a better choice in the security things. But
Yeah.
on the other hand, also sometimes ESXi or virtual machine hypervisor can also have more vulnerability than physical server. Yeah, it depends, but yeah, I agree with your opinion. But I just want to add one more thing here.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, great. And yes, nowadays in our team, we manage many servers, thousands of servers. Then, and also some physical server is IBM, some servers are Supermicro or Dell. Then it's really not easy to manage everything in a physical server. But once we make a virtual machine platform, then we can manage each server. Actually, the server is a virtual machine. We can manage each server the same way. Then, yeah, I really prefer the virtual machine.
Yeah, thank you for your comment and for your idea. Yeah, I think so. There are some good point of the VM because it's easy to scale up and down, and, and be also easy to deploy by the VM as codes. And anyway, some good point about the physical server if we want about the high performance, we choose the physical server. But if we just want the small application that not use much resource, I think the good choice is the VM.
Yes, I agree. Yeah, thank you. That's all.
Yeah, thank you. So everyone have more questions?
Can so my question, virtual machine and virtual server, it's two different things, right? Is it yes or no question?
Virtual machine and virtual server, actually, they are the same. Like
Oh, I see.
like it's just the name we call, I think. Normally we uh, uh, the hypervisor can deploy the virtual hardware like memory, vCPU, and input output device, and then the hardware we can install the OS in the virtual machine. Yeah.
I see. I see. Thank you so much.
Then uh, uh, if you are using the VPS, I think it's also the virtual machine, and you can take a snapshot on your virtual machine. You can upgrade your CPU on the virtual machine, but we cannot do it on the physical server.
I
That is
see. I see.
the virtual machine.
So to upgrade virtual machine, I mean, like when we would like to upgrade the CPU on that virtual machine. So so that virtual machine also require like physical CPU from the actual machine.
Actually, it's required the CPU of the uh, of the of the physical server. Like we have the uh, like the 1V CPU is equal to one thread of the physical server. As I remember. So if the total of CPU, we have the 2 CPU and 32 core, and then each core we have 2 threads. So if that server have 2 CPU, then we have the 64 threads like this. That means that the server we can assign 64 vCPU to that VM. So you get it?
vCPU, it's the word for virtual server, but in the
Virtual CPU
okay, I see, I see.
that defined
Okay,
by the hypervisor.
I see, yes.
I'm
Yeah,
sorry, my
they,
slide is not detailed about this. I spent less time to do this just last
yeah,
night. It's not
yeah,
much detail, but I can answer all possible.
yeah. Okay.
So hello.
Yes.
So hypervisor is a service, or I think it's a service of Microsoft, is that right?
It's not like actually we can say that hypervisor is a software layer that install on the hardware server. We can have the kind of the ESXi that also one of the hypervisor, Hyper-V or Proxmox or something like this. So if we use Proxmox, the hardware at the bottom, and then the next is the Proxmox, is the hypervisor layer. This is the open source. Then we can use it for free. But if we need if we need the ESXi, we need to buy the license. I'm not clear about the license. Maybe you should know more clearly than me. Yes, we need license.
So if suppose our physical server have 200 megahertz, and I need I use VM, but my VM need 300 megahertz. So how do I solve this problem?
It depends on how you define your VM. Like I talk to Sky, we need to think about the CPU, the vCPU that we need on each VM. So when we set up new VM, we need to know that the the physical server have what kind of CPU. Like the example, uh, it has 2 CPU, and each CPU have 32 core, and so we know that the total of CPU that we have is 64 core, and on each core we have the 2 threads. So that means that the vCPU is equal 1 thread. So if we already know the capacity that we already have in the physical server, we can define it by the vCPU. Like if 32 core with 2 CPU, that means we can define the vCPU equal to 128 28 CPU vCPU. So vCPU.
So can I suppose I want to move my VM, like I need my VM I use, but I need more CPU, but my physical is too small. So can I move to another physical and it work fine or not?
If is your VM,
Yes, my VM.
so VM is very easy. You can just clone or you can migrate, but you have to know that the destination server that you migrate is compatible. Like we have enough CPU or more CPU than your current server. We have the next destination server have enough RAM and have enough the hard drive, or especially the network also compatible together, can match together. So if we use your source server is VLAN server 1, then you need to define another server on VLAN server 1. So there should be no downtime.
In the same VLAN, same network, same configuration.
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, understand.
But actually there are more feature like Hasekawa-san, you presentation about the HVLAN. Actually, there are more feature than this. As I remember, HVLAN can migrate the VM to the different VLAN. Something like this.
So as your experience, VM and Docker technology which is popular in using to manage server.
Sorry.
For your experience, so for Docker, for container technology and VM, so which one is popular to manage server? Like users, it's popular to use, and it use less memory, less CPU, and easy to scale. It's like that. Which one is popular?
Actually, I'm no experience with Kubernetes, but I think if you compare, I don't know how to compare, because anyway, we use the Kubernetes cluster. We still need the VM or physical to actually the Kubernetes cluster just install it on VM or physical server, and how we how we compare.
Yeah.
The good thing of the Kubernetes cluster, there are many good things. But anyway, we still use it to install on VM or install on physical server. It depends on how much resource that we need. It depends on our project, depend on something. So yeah, if it, Kubernetes is easy to manage.
Yeah.
Easy to manage the container. It's used for the manage container, as I know, but I don't want to compare what the good choice between the Kubernetes and Docker to VM or physical server, because they are in the physical server also.
Yeah, understand.
Even we use AWS, we use AWS to deploy the Kubernetes cluster or Docker container, and AWS still use the physical server also. So yes, that's all my answers.
So we can manage Docker in the VM. Is that right?
Yes, we can manage Docker in VM. We also can manage Docker in physical server also.
Oh. Okay, that's all. Thank you.
So do you have more questions?
Hello, I have one question.
Yeah.
Yes, as we already know, yes, the VM is the cannot run without the hypervisor, something like ESI server. Yeah, the which is the hypervisor. But for my question, if on my laptop, I can say my PC, if I install the VMware workstation and install the VM on the workstation, and the VMware workstation, is it the hypervisor or not?
VMware workstation.
Yes.
VMware workstation, I think, is also kind of hypervisor. Then we need VMware workstation to deploy the vCPU, virtual hard drive, or input-output device. And then normally, as you know, if we use the VirtualBox or VMware workstation on your desktop, before you go to the setup OS, you need to create VM, right? And then you need to define the hardware. You need to define the hard drive, how much gigabyte that you want, and how much RAM that you want, and how much CPU that you want. After you create the VM, then you can start your VM with ISO image.
I see. Yes. Thank you. Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. So you have more questions?
Just little comment. Because hypervisor it's create it's called virtual machine monitor. So the thing is that is it hypervisor or not? So we should know what is hypervisor. So hypervisor means virtual machine monitor. So it's like the system or the software to monitor those kind of virtual machine. Yes, that's all. Just.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes.
Thanks for your comment.
And yes, back to Mr. Bonlok just described previously. Hypervisor, it's not came up first time. It's not came up by Microsoft, but it's came up with from IBM. But with in that time, it's not really clear, same as right now. But it's just the idea to build a virtual machine, the concept to build the virtual machine. Yes.
So hello.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so do we need the multi network card or not if we have a multi VM?
No, in let's say we can imagine that we have one physical server that we use it for VM, and then we can have maybe one or two, 3 or 4. It depends on the kind of the physical server that we have. Sometimes we can have 1 or 2, and sometimes we can have 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we have 100 VLAN, we don't need 100 network card. We just need the same network card that configure with the VLAN. So yes, is get to your question.
Yeah. So do it have any collision with the packet transfer? If network card, my network card is 100 megabit per second. So if I use a multi VLAN and multi VM, so are there any collision?
Sorry, I don't get it.
Are there any if I use a multi VLAN and transfer data? So should it have the collision of the package when transfer data?
I'm still don't get your point.
So I mean that
Time out. Make
if
No.
if it's better or not if we have like minor. I mean that we should use a bigger network card transfer like 1 gigabit per second,
Per second.
or you should use a 100 megabit per second. I think a big is better than gigabit network card is better than
Yeah.
100 megabit per second because it transfer a lot because we use a VM to transfer and multi VLAN, multi server.
It depend on the VLAN network also. It's not only depend on the network card, but it's depend on the VLAN also. If your VLAN use the network 1G, then yeah, of course your physical server can have also 1G. But if your VLAN is 10G and then your network card is 1G, it's also not compatible. So it's depend on VLAN.
So VLAN we configure it in VM, or we need any switch to configure VLAN, because we transfer data in the same physical server, or we like I need to transfer my data with 2 physical servers. So should I configure in VLAN? Should I configure VLAN in VM, or should I configure VLAN in switch?
Okay, I can imagine that. Actually, I'm not expert with network configuration, but normally in data center we have server, and then that server have the network connect to the switch. So we need to add the VLAN interface in the VM also. So when you set up the hypervisor, you need to add the VLAN ID in your hypervisor, and then when you create the VM, on each VM you need to add the VLAN ID. Add the VLAN ID. You have to add the VLAN ID.
Or specific VLAN, which server in which VLAN. That's right.
Yes. I cannot show you because it's related with our project, but what I can tell, I will tell. So we have to create the VLAN ID on hypervisor server, and then when we create the VM, we need to define the VLAN ID on that VM.
Okay, thank you.
For the VLAN, I am not 100% sure, but I think maybe on the switch we also create the VLAN on the switch, and then yes, if we cannot create the VLAN on switch, I think yes, the VM, even we attach the VM with the VLAN ID, they don't know where the ID this VLAN from. So
I just want to let you know that the VLAN configuration is not configured by us. It's by our partner network engineer.
Yeah.
But what we have to do from our side is configure VLAN on server.
Yeah, it is right. Yeah, it for the networking operation that they configure the VLAN and through the VLAN. Yes. For the infrastructure, that we work from the switch no, so it's a work on the server, and from the server to switch to the router is the networking operation. Yes. Yes.
Like when example like this physical server, this hypervisor server connect to the 1G switch, and 1G switch have multiple VLAN that in 1G switch. So this server can only connect with 1G switch, and also can use it with VLAN that in the 1G switch.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. So do we have any comment or question? Okay, great. So could we access the slide, Mr. Leanghy, after this?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you so much, everyone. Yes. So have a nice weekend. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
はい。
Mm.